Hey folks, Matthew Weiss here, WeissAdvice.com and Weiss Advice here on YouTube. In this video, I want to talk about mastering your own records. Now, when I talk about mastering, I want to make it clear that I am not talking about the process of creating the final version from which all copies will be derived. I'm not going to be talking about, say, the process of transferring to a master for vinyl or creating a glass master for CD. I'm going to be talking about what is more technically referred to as the pre-mastering process, which is basically just a fancy way of saying getting the absolute best out of a mix, which is what typically mastering engineers get known for these days. Now, I am not a mastering engineer by trade, but I have been mixing for years and years and years, and I've had to master my own records many times, and I've certainly learned a few things that I can then tell you, and that will help you because you might end up mastering your own records pretty frequently as well. I think it's probably an inevitability no matter what you're doing in music. So what are we trying to do, right? What is the goal here? The goal is to get the best representation of the mix. Well, that's a bit of a paradox, right? Because if we're trying to get the best goal of the mix in the mastering phase, what the heck were we doing in the mixing phase? The goal was the same exact thing. We're trying to get the best version of the mix. So why even have a mastering phase? Well, it's debatable whether or not we even technically need one, because as soon as you print a stereo track, technically that could be the master. But the idea here is that we can separate the phase between mixing and mastering and look at it as a chance to improve the mix even further, get one last look at things, and make things a little bit better. Now, difficulty with this is that it's hard to find objective perspective when you've been the one who's at least been mixing, but possibly even recording or even producing the record, maybe even writing the record. A lot of the times we find ourselves kind of doing everything, so objective perspective is tough. When you hire a mastering engineer, that's built in. You're hiring in somebody who wasn't part of the process before, so they get that objectivism right off the bat. But if you're self-mastering, one of the goals that's going to help you very much is trying to glean objective perspective. And the only way that you can do that is by separating yourself from the record as much as possible. Time is the best approach to that. So giving yourself a few days to kind of reset your brain and then hear things fresh, and then working from not the mix session, but a printed version of the mix and going, these are the finishing touches, what needs to happen. That's going to help kind of limit you into just improving what's there. You were already happy with the mix, cool, you printed it, now your ears are fresh, you come back, and now that's when the real work starts. So what is the real work? Well, people will talk about mastering in terms of limiting, clipping, EQ, mid-side work. Those are all techniques. Those are all tools that we use in getting that final master, but actually the real mastering technique and approach is listening. So we don't know what we want to EQ. We don't know what we want to compress. We don't know if we want to do anything until we have a fresh listen and set goals. So we're going to do that right now. All right, I'm going to play this record. I mixed this a number of years ago, so I think I have a pretty fresh perspective on it. And I'm going to figure out what I want from it. That's the first step to getting a really good master. So here we go.
Pull my way, can I pull my way? Pull my way, can I pull my way? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
Pull my weight up by myself, but there's so much agitation. Fever dreams haunt half the nation. Checking on my health, told you about 1 million vaccinations. A stack of ancient papers made sacred, talk to me in prophecies.
Okay, so first of all, I think it sounds pretty good. This mix is a couple years old. There's definitely a few things that I do think could improve, but in general, I think that the balances are pretty good. I think that there's really good side-to-side width. I think that, there's nothing particularly wrong with it. There's a few things that I think could become a little bit better. One is that I feel like things are a little bit masked. There's a little bit of a lack of clarity in that section that I played. There's a little bit of pinch maybe in like the 1K-ish area where maybe there's a little too much energy in that primary mid-range perhaps. And then I wouldn't say that it's lifeless, but I would say things sound a little flat and maybe a little bit two-dimensional. Not like completely two-dimensional, but could definitely use a little bit more front-to-back kind of vibe, a little bit more depth, and then also just a little bit more life. So let's play it one more time.
Pull my way, can I pull my way? Pull my way, can I pull my way? I do my part if you do the the same, then we win the day. We win the day.
Pull my weight up by myself, but there's so much agitation. Fever dreams, heart.
I think on that second playback, now that I've mentioned those things, you'll probably find yourself in agreement that as a general assessment, it sounds good, but maybe it's a little bit flat, little dimensionless, and it could come to life a little bit more. So now we've sort of set some goals up. Now, the next step is re-listening to parse out what it is that's making that stuff happen. What do we need to fix? What do we need to think about when we're approaching this? What's going to make things better? And we can get into the more specifics.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part, if you do the same, then we win the day. We win the day.
One more time.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part, if you do the same, then we win the day. We win the day.
So there's a couple things that jump out to me now that I've heard it a few times. First is that in the bass, the kick feels a little underrepresented. It feels like it's a little smushed into the subs, and it needs a little bit more of its primary frequencies to step out a little bit more and have a little bit more hardiness, maybe a little bit more tone and color to it even. So that's one thing, and if I have a good solid representation of that kick and snare, that's going to help in the depth department. The other thing I'm noticing is that one of the reasons why we're lacking depth here is actually because of maybe too much reverb. There's a lot of side information that's kind of swamping things over with a lot of wind tones, a lot of reverby tones, and so that is having this masking effect, which is actually taking away from the dimensionality of the record. It's a little counterintuitive, but the reverb is actually making things flatter. A little bizarre, but now listen again, now that I've mentioned the things with the kick and the things with the side information.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part, if you do the same, then we win the day. We win the day.
So now that I'm starting to listen and I'm starting to think about things, now I'm starting to focus in on a direction, and then we can start to figure out the EQ and the compression because we have goals. Now check this out. I'm going to mute the side information so we're just monitoring the mid information.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part, if you do the same, then we win the day. We win the day.
First of all, a lot clearer. Second of all, we can hear a little bit more like what's not totally right about the record. We can hear that thing with the kick lacking. We can hear a little bit of blurriness in the low mids. All of those things become a little bit more obvious as soon as I take the sides away. So this is where we're starting to bridge into the technique world, right? We started figuring out what was going on. Now we start figuring out the techniques to get there. We start experimenting. We solo the mid channel. Oh, okay, interesting. Let's see what happens if we solo the side channel. It's pretty messy and mushy, right? So it's no surprise that when we bring them together, there's a little bit of masking going on. So, okay, first of all, starting off here with a Nugent Audio plugin called Sigmod. This is allowing me to split the channels into mid and side. If I split the channels into mid and side, that means that I can EQ the channels in mid and side. So here I have my mid channel.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight?
Here I have my side channel. And then lastly, down at the bottom, I have my sum, which is the mid channel and side channel coming back together and being decoded back into left and right. You can do this also with the Waves S1 Imager, but I like the Nugent Audio Sigmod because it allows you to do a bunch of other really useful things as well. So it can be used in a lot of different contexts. It allows you to create like crossovers and send the crossover to one aux, like the low channel to one side, one aux, and then the high part of the crossover to another aux, and you can do 3 crossovers and send them all to different auxes and things like that. And that can be really cool and really useful. So, okay, once I do that, I can kind of focus on what needs to be heard. So like, let's say I solo up the mid channel, right?
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight?
Actually, really, I should listen to both channels together and address whatever needs to happen there first, really.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
I think that there's a little bit of something happening at around 800 hertz that probably needs to get addressed. There's like a sort of a resonance coming off of a guitar or something like that that's a little overpowering. So that's really the only thing jumping out at me on the sum channel.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
This is interesting because I'm hearing a lot of reverb coming up on the sides at like 640 hertz. We're going to keep that in the back of our minds.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
Pull my weight up.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. The other thing that's tough about mastering is it's a game of subtlety. And little differences make big differences. But okay, so I think that works for that channel. Let's address the sides. So I think the first thing is that we can just bring the sides down a hair. You know, when we muted the sides, it made things clear. What happens if we pulled down the sides by like 1 dB? You know, what happens to the overall mix, right? There we go.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight?
Way more clarity, right? Before we even EQ anything, just taking the sides down a hair definitely helped. Okay. Now, can we tighten it up? Meaning, can we maybe ease off some of that reverb sound that's happening? Well, we found something before at around 640 hertz, right? So let's go back to that. I don't want to totally kill it. I want there to be some stuff there because it's giving good energy to the mix, even if it's at the expense of clarity. So we have to find a compromise, right? A big part of mastering is compromising. Where's that sweet spot in terms of clarifying everything, but also retaining some of the life and the energy?
I pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
And that's pretty good right there. So I would say that's probably a good move. And I'm also thinking that using a really, really wide Q and rolling off some lows just to kind of tighten up the side information might be good as well. Yeah, not bad. There's also one little resonance that's kind of poking its head out around maybe that same 800-ish hertz area. There we go. Okay, so now let's listen again. Let's start from a little before the chorus and play into the chorus just so we can kind of recalibrate our ear.
Casting shadow. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
So in terms of clarity, way clearer. Maybe a little too clean now, but that's okay. We're going to keep working on it, keep chiseling away at it. Let's go to the mid channel.
Casting shadow. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I I do my part if you do the same.
Okay, so let's get that kick drum to come to life.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
Yeah, kind of like in that 80s, 90s hertz area sort of seems to be where the kick drum is coming to life.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
The vocal feels a little woofy, and that was before that boost. So let's search around these low mids, see if we can find what's making the vocal feel a little muddy.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
So I like what this range actually is really doing to the vocal and the snare. So what range is this? This is the 500 hertz. Let's keep that in mind for a second, or keep that in our minds in a moment.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight?
Actually, the low end of the vocal is not really bothering me as much as it was a second ago. I'm not really sure why. I think I want to pull up a bit of that 500 hertz stuff, though. I like that quite a bit.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Let's bring those all together.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
Pull my weight.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
There we go.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
So, okay, let's go back to where we started. We started with this.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same.
And we ended up with this.
Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then
Lot clearer. The only thing I miss a little bit is some of that tick of the hi-hats on the side. So I'm going to go back to my side information here. There we go. Bring some of that bright stuff back a little bit.
pull my weight, can I pull my weight? Pull my weight, can I pull my weight? I do my part if you do the same. Then we win the day, we win the day.
So as far as mastering tools and techniques go, I would say the number one tool that is used by most mastering engineers, and certainly by myself, is EQ. There's nothing more important than getting the EQ correct, and then once you do that, everything else is a lot subtler. Now, I'm going to do another video where I talk about getting things louder and dealing with things like clipping, limiting, compression, that kind of stuff. But I want to separate those ideas because I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this video already, and it's probably good just to kind of say, all right, this is what we're doing tone-wise. This is a really good way to start. We've talked about the listening process, and that's the most important thing. All right, if you dig this video, hit that like button. If you want to catch more videos like this, hit subscribe with the bell notifications so you get notified. And lastly, you know what we say here at Weiss Advice. We are musicians, sound is our instrument, and I will catch you next time.